Welcome back to the Lisbonian Lifestyle. I'm your host, Igor Kafetz, and today I'm hosting Andrei Yermejev, who's actually just been approved for a Two Comma Club award for making $1 million with high ticket affiliate marketing. This guy used to wait tables and be in a restaurant business, and in just 6 months from starting his affiliate business, he went on to quit his 9 to 5 and go full time online. So, if there is anyone I'm excited to interview, it's him because this show is all about more lifestyle, higher quality of life, higher income without having to make sacrifices of your health, your relationships, or anything else that you consider a success metric. So, Andrei, welcome to the Lisbonian Lifestyle.
Thank you so much, Igor, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. We're excited to host you, man. So, you've got a pretty crazy story, and it all goes way, way, way back to World War II. Now, obviously, if you guys are listening, you're not watching this podcast. Obviously, Andre is not like 122 years old or anything like that. But the story is pretty fascinating. So, tell us, like, where did it all begin?
Yeah, so it all started with my grandfather, right? So my grandfather is Russian. He was fighting in World War II with the Russian army. But then he got captured basically by the Nazis, and then he was forced to fight his own people basically in the Nazi side. So from there, he was in concentration camps, and he got the opportunity to flee the war. And with a bunch of Russian people, they ended up getting inside a boat, and the goal for them was to go to Australia. So go as far south as they could go. But what ended up happening is that they ended up going to Peru just to get supplies. So as soon as they get there, everybody got out of the boat just to get the supplies. And as soon as they get out, the boat leaves them, and a bunch of Russian people got stuck in Peru. And then they didn't know the language, they didn't know basically anything, right? So they just had to make their life there. At least they were away from the war.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It sounds like a scene out of a movie, escape, captured, betrayal. But, Peru isn't like the worst place in the world to get stuck as a Russian because, at the very least, there's no brutal winters. So you can be
That's
pretty
right.
resourceful. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess the culture's great. You get to have some fun, dance. So what happens next? Like, how did he meet your grandmother?
Yeah, so they were basically taken by a group of priests. And then these priests knew the language, they knew how to speak Russian, and then they showed all the Russian community how to speak Spanish. So from there, he started living his life there and working, and he ended up meeting my grandmother. And from there, my father was born. But that the only thing that really sucked was that I was never able to actually meet him. I wish I actually met him, but he actually passed away when my dad was 17.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
early. Was that some sort of disease or?
Yeah, he ended up getting cancer. So he died very young. But I think that's why I like history so much, just because I remember the stories that my dad would tell me about him, and history became basically my favorite subject in school.
Yeah, yeah. He sounds like a role model. I mean, he didn't give up. He found a way out of a really, really nasty situation. So
Yeah.
fast forward to my guess is somewhere in 2020. You're a miserable restaurant industry worker who realizes 9 to 5 sucks.
hmm
So you get into affiliate marketing. So how did that happen?
Yeah, so I was a restaurant manager for over 8 years, and I did it all, right? Like wait tables, I did it, clean toilets, I did everything in the restaurant. But then it got to the point where I actually ended up having a family. So I met my wife in the restaurant, and then we ended up having a daughter. So from there, I still did the restaurant business for 5 years. So I basically missed so much of my daughter's life because I was always at work, right? And then it got to the point where we I wasn't making enough money. It ended up being that we were in so much debt, and it was just not working out. So eventually I started looking online. Basically, I was like, oh, how do I make money online? So instead of getting a second job, I went on Google and I typed it in, and then that's where I found this opportunity of affiliate marketing. And from there, I just put my head down and I started learning and implementing everything that I was learning. And I started using social media to promote the product that I was promoting. And thankfully, 6 months from there, I was able to make more than what my full time income was making. So then I realized that time was way more valuable than me basically killing myself working a 9 to 5.
Right. Wow, that's interesting. So just a disclaimer, or I guess the fine print for you, if you ever listen to the show, you know I'm not a big fan of social media. I don't have a huge social media presence. I don't really. I burned out real fast when I tried the social media route with some of my coaching programs, and I kind of abandoned it in favor of more automation. However, I've also recognized that there's more than one way to skin the cat, of course, and to each his own. So while I am not a big fan of social media, it is fascinating that you've been using 100% organic marketing in order to build that sort of income. In fact, in just 1.5 years, 18 months, you went on to make your first $1 million online.
Yes. And everything was with organic traffic. So no money on ads, just putting content out there. And literally is 5 to 15 second videos that I'm making every single day. Put it on social media in different platforms. You have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and be consistent. And that's basically everything that I done.
Wow, that's nuts. And this is a trend I've been seeing more and more on social media. We've started producing more content for social media, and I'm noticing that short form content is getting way more exposure. Like the algorithm just pushes that content all the way through. And I used to think short was just under a minute, but I'm realizing that a minute might be long at this point. Like
Yep.
I spoke to you and I spoke to a few other people who also do kind of similar organic marketing. And some of them don't even talk in their videos. They just kind of have a selfie video going for like 10 seconds like this. And then, they put a bunch of text on the video with some music. So now I mean, short-term content is what's like 50, like you said, 5 to 15 seconds.
Yes,
that's
5 to 15 seconds.
where we're at as a society now. That's what we can't even consume more than 15
Yep.
seconds of video content.
And you gotta put it this way, right? Like people have short spam of, like, attention spams, right? So the moment they see a video, they already want to swipe, right? So the more direct you keep it, if maybe if you have a hook on the video, it makes people actually watch the whole thing, and then the whole thing is just gonna be 15 seconds.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like, what sort of hook do you need to put into a video? Let me paraphrase that. So I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, right? I'm going to be trying to poke holes in that strategy because it's my brain is still struggling to accept it. I'm an old dog, an old guard, right? So I've been doing this for like 15 years. I've seen all kinds of iterations of social media. I started when social media was MySpace, when everybody was friends with that guy Tom. So
Yeah.
we used to build social media, like these MySpace profiles, where we would like treat it like a website. You tell your whole story, put in some of your interests, and I would kind of just produce them by hand. That was before any kind of software was invented. And then, I really thought I hit the jackpot when somebody came up with a Facebook software that would automatically add friends. And I abused it so much I got put in Facebook jail every now and again. So that was my social media exposure early on. And back then, video even wasn't part of it unless you upload it to YouTube, but it wasn't really that connected. Now it seems like, from what I'm observing, everything's shifting to video. Video is dominating over text, and short, really, really short form dominates over long form, unless you're an exception to the rule, like Joe Rogan, I guess. But what sort of customers are you able to generate if they're only watching 5 seconds of you on screen and then moving on to something else? Like, how do you even get them to to get on your list, or do you even build a list, or is it more about having them
Yep.
follow you and just watch a gazillion videos until they finally decide to look you up on Google? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so what people want to do basically, they want to consume as much content as they can possibly get, right? So if you post a video and it's really interesting in somebody else, then that person is most likely going to go to your profile, and then they're going to consume multiple videos of your content. Like, this doesn't happen with just one video. So you got to show a lot of consistency through like maybe a month, right? And then from there, they're going to start digging into your content, and then they're going to start asking questions like, okay, what is it that you do, right? In some of my contents, I'm also sharing my story. So once you start sharing your story, then that's how you end up getting your target audience, right? So, for example,
Yeah.
for me, I work in the food industry. A lot of people also work in the food industry that watch my content, and then they see that I got out of the food industry. So now they're really interested in, okay, how can I also get out of the food industry? So then that's what I put in my content. And then eventually they ended up going to the link on my bio. And then that's how I'm able to grow a list, right? So that's important. You always have to grow a list, because the thing about social media, I'm sure that you already know, that accounts are easily banned, accounts are easily deleted, accounts are easily hacked in social media. So the best thing that you can do is get them out of those platforms and put them into your list.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if it's not a big secret, what sort of list were you able to build in the last 18 months?
It's always up and down, but probably around 50,000 right now.
50,000
So
people on your
50,000
list.
people in my list. Yeah.
That's really good. That's really
Thank you.
good. How often do you mail the list?
If they are going through my sequence, probably like once every single day. But then after that, I try to email them once a week. Maybe I could be doing more, but once a week is where I have my list after they're done with the sequence, of course.
Right, right. And how long is the sequence?
The sequence goes, I have two sequence going right now. They usually go around 20 days for the first one, and then the
Yeah.
second one is another 15 days. So maybe like around a
Nice.
month.
Nice. Okay. So you're putting people on your list. Now, as far as I know, you're not really allowed to link out from your videos on TikTok and other platforms. They don't like that. So how do you get people to actually go and opt in?
Yeah, so I do have an opt-in website, with the thank you page. So basically, I focus on promoting one main product, right?
Right,
So
right,
that main product, from there, uh, I make my content, and then I tell people either through messages or through my content itself to go to the link on my bio. TikTok is the hardest one to message people and actually communicate with them. So I try to get them off TikTok to go to Instagram. So in Instagram, it's so easy to just message people, and then it's so easy to just send the link through the messaging as well. So then, as soon as I have a conversation with a lead, um, at the end of the conversation, I have them actually go into my website so they can opt in. So my opt-in rate right now for somebody that goes into my funnel is like above 80%, just because I'm having those conversations with people. So whoever goes on my website is most likely going to opt in, because I already built that rapport, I already built that conversation, and then at that point, they have seen so much of my content that they can actually trust me.
right, right. And it's a personal thing, kind of dropping, saying go opt in, which is really interesting. So you want to tell me that in the last 18 months you had over 50,000 Instagram conversations?
Maybe more, to be honest.
What?
Maybe more.
How do you do it?
Yeah, so it just starts, day by day. At first, I was horrible at talking to people, right? Like, I didn't know how to talk to them and everything. But then after a while, you end up getting like a small script, right? So that way you can go back to it and be like, okay, well, now I know what to say now for somebody
Yeah.
for a lead to convert to a sell. So from there, Instagram has a cool way that you can basically add like keywords on the messages. So if I put just one letter on the messaging, it can translate into like a whole paragraph basically that I want to send out
Right.
to the
Right.
people.
So you get them on Instagram through TikTok, but basically it still sounds very time consuming. Like, do you have all these conversations yourself? Do you have like a network of assistants?
Right. So at first it was all me, right? I was just one man show. I think it was me until I made maybe multiple six figures. So maybe I made like 200K, and it was still only me. And I was spending like maybe 4 to 5 hours a day just doing the messaging. And then I realized that okay, well, I can spend my time somewhere else better. So I ended up hiring a VA. So now I have somebody that works for me and handles all the messaging for me, and then I get to focus on other areas of the business.
Right. So just one VA to have all these
Just
messages.
one VA, one VA, all these messages. She works for me full time, 8 hours a day, and she's that's all she does. There's a lot of traffic that happens in the accounts.
That is nuts. So she's got like four different social media accounts open and people messaging, and her job is to get all of them to message you on Instagram, where then she takes them and says, "Hey, opt in here."
Right. Yeah. First, she has a conversation with them, figures out if it will be a good match or not. And yeah, she follows my script because I perfected my script. And she goes from there. And it basically works the same if I was doing it.
Wow, wow, that is insane. It's a great, great, great system. You must have really figured it out with that magic script or something. So back to your content strategy, right? How often do you post?
Right. So you want to be as consistent as possible. So I post 3 times a day. So every
Three times.
morning I do 3 times, yeah. So every morning I do my thing. I go to the gym. I just join like a CrossFit gym. So I take care of myself first before the business because I think that's really important. So from there, I get home. I talk to my wife, and then from there, I ended up creating my 3 pieces of content for the whole day. Right. Sometimes I'm really motivated and I create maybe 4 or 5, and then I have leftovers for the next day. So that way, the next day it's not like I'm rushing to create the new ones. So that's how I basically base it. And then usually I space them out 2 to 3 hours each video that I post.
Right. And so when you create these three pieces of content, do you then post each one of them onto each platform?
So I use the same video for I use TikTok basically to create content on TikTok, right? Because I need to have people leave TikTok so I can actually have a conversation with my leads, right? I'm not a fan of TikTok, to be honest, right? So I just use it just to create the content because that's just how I started. It's like the best place to start. If you're gonna create content, TikTok is the best place to start because you can have one video go viral, right? And then after that, you're gonna get so many followers. But to actually have a conversation with those people, you need to get them out of there. So I create on TikTok, I post a video, and then from there, there's an app where I can download the video and then remove the watermark, and then I post them on Instagram, and then YouTube Shorts, and then Facebook Reels as well.
Do you optimize them for keywords as well, or is it just naturally posting and the algorithm does the rest?
Right. So you have to use hashtags. So hashtags are really important in some of them, and then you wanna optimize it as much as possible, right? So you don't the description of the video has to be something that makes sense with the video, right? You don't wanna create a different description of the video that it doesn't really make sense with the video. So it's very unique for each time that I post, but for the most part, the hashtags you wanna use at least 3 to 5 hashtags in each video that you post.
Right, right. Okay. Wow, this is crazy. This is like a proper system. It's not just, when we think about social media influencers, we think somebody who just leisurely films like a selfie video out of their bed or something and just goes, or on the other end of the spectrum, it's somebody with a professional video crew following them all day long because they're famous or something, or if they're like a model, then it's just basically an Instagram husband or an Instagram boyfriend. But this actually looks like a real business. Like this looks like, even though you're not a big fan of TikTok, you kind of recognize how much traffic there is to it. So you found a way to siphon people off of TikTok to a messaging platform where they engage you, which for you, what you're saying is it's Instagram, and from there you point them to your website with an opt-in form, which is where the magic happens. So it all still leads back to getting people on your list.
Exactly. Everything goes back to the list.
Wow, this is interesting. So what about once they're on your list? So what sort of engagement are you seeing there? What kind of open rates are you seeing? What sort of engagement? Did every sale that you make come through the list, or do you have to? Do they go opt into your list and then come back to your Instagram, start chatting to your assistant again, and she needs to close the sale on the spot? Like, how would you say things pan out?
Yeah, so since I'm having an actual conversation with every lead, almost every lead, of course, there's also people that go straight to the link on my bio, right? So there's people that I don't have a conversation with them, but they're action takers, I guess you can say. So they go straight and they buy, right? But then there's a lot of people that they do need the the conversation to happen. So a lot of
Right,
them actually buy through the conversations that I already talked to them through. So for the most part, if I'm already talking to somebody and I'm following my script, and then I ended up giving the link, if that person is gonna buy right away. So they're not really gonna be. They are on my list, but that person will probably buy right away. Right now, I have about 20 to 30% open rates on each email that I send out.
right.
I don't know if that's good or bad, to be honest, but it's 20
Oh,
to
it's
30
not bad.
percent.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, and then from there, I'm gonna say maybe 20% of those people buy through the emails that I send out.
Right. The rest go back to you
Yeah.
and chat with you.
The rest are either before or after in the messaging area.
Right. So how many conversations at any given point, active conversations, are happening for you and your team?
Let's put it this way: if I do post a video, right, and I haven't really touched it in a while, you'll probably wake up to 100 requests of people interested on what I put on the video. So every
Right.
day there's probably more than 100 requests going on Instagram basically. And then I don't know, maybe like 200 people every day that you go through the conversations. And that's the thing though, you can't really spam them, right? Or like have so many conversations going at once because then you end up getting flagged for spam. So you have to just pace yourself. And the way I do it is whoever replies before, like for example, somebody replied yesterday and then it's today, I have to answer to the ones that replied yesterday first before the people that are interested today. So that's how I keep that rotation and I just keep it going from there.
Wow. Wow. So how many days does a conversation last? Like on average, how many days before you convert them?
The conversation could be fast. It could be the same day because literally my script is like one, two, three, four. It's maybe like 4 or 5 messages. That's all. That's all my whole script. So it could be fast depending on how much traffic the account has. But if I'm having a lot of those people interested in what I'm trying to offer, then the goal is to at least reply to with one message for each person, depending on how much people there actually are messaging.
Wow. Okay. I see. I see. So um so you said that the call to action that you're making, it's either go check out the link in my bio, which leads straight to your opt-in website, or sometimes, like, how often do you make the call to action of message me or send me an Instagram message or something?
Yeah, so I try to mix it up. The cool thing about Instagram is that it tells you your analytics, right? So it tells you when you have people engaged in your content. So if, for example, that analytic goes down where it goes negative, right? Like people are not engaging with my content, then I change my call to action. So my call to actions usually are either link on my bio, that way they can go check it out and go straight to my list, or I tell them to message me a keyword so I can just start my script from there. Or if I do have that low engagement on my videos, I tell them to leave a comment on the video, and then when that happens, I'm just tricking the algorithm, having people just comment on my videos, thinking, okay, this video is popping, right? This video is getting so much engagement. So let's push it out to more people. And then when that happens, it's just a cycle of just your videos keep doing well, keep doing well. And then what I do when somebody comments is first I send them a message, right? And then from there, I reply to the comment saying, hey, by the way, I messaged you. So what I want to do basically is send them as much notifications as I can so they can be like, oh, wow, my phone is blowing up. This guy actually replied to me. So I have like 2 or 3 methods. So I like the comment, I reply to the comment, and then I send a message. So now they're getting three notifications from me, right? So the most likely what's going to happen, they're going to reply to the message.
Yeah, that's smart. That's really smart. And all this is systematized, which is the part that I love, because I hate to be a slave to any method. Like, I know I can always go back if things go really wrong for some reason and I have to start over. I can always go back to the manual labor approach where, I would be at my computer 24/7 and I know exactly how to make the money. But I'm a big fan of automation because it allows you to scale without having to increase your workload, which is why I'm a big fan of list building, because you can increase your list size, and each time you mail the list or each time you run a campaign, you're generating more revenue and have a bigger impact just because the size of your audience grows much bigger, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think the list is the most important one, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, for you, your audience is kind of spread. I still think Instagram is the most valuable asset for you, but you're smart to be building a list. That's really smart.
Hmm.
Personally, I think you're underutilizing it, mailing it only once a week, but that's a conversation for a different time. There's only one last piece of the system that we haven't discussed, and that is so what where you send them. Is it a lead magnet? Is it a VSL? Is it a webinar? Like so you got them to message you on Instagram, you put them through the script, and so where do you take them? Where do you tell them to go?
Yeah, so usually I have a free video that I give. So basically, it's like a training. So that can be my lead magnet. So I teach them about the business, basically what I'm trying to offer, and then from there, I basically that video is gonna tell them if that's something that they actually want to do, right? So if they end up liking it and then thinking, okay, I might be able to do this, then eventually those people convert into buyers. So that's how I'm making basically commissions out of it, right? And the reason why I say that the building the list is so important is because I had accounts being shut down before. I had accounts with 100,000 followers being shut down, and I couldn't at all. I could not basically get it back. So I emailed them, and nothing really happened, right? So
Right.
when I build the list, right, and the list is always gonna be mine, right? So it's super important to just get those people out of those platforms because you never know when an account is gonna be shut down or not, especially in my field where I'm in the make money online type of field, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
a lot of people might report, yeah, a lot of people might report, and then I've gotten two Instagram accounts shut down completely just because of that.
Really? Wow. It's how do you
Yep,
recover from
and
that?
I had to start from zero. Yeah, so I had to start from zero, especially on Instagram, right? But the cool thing about it is that I did have the list already built. So I would just send an email to my list, and then most of those people in my list will come to the new account and just follow me, give me engagement right away, and then eventually that account will blow up and once again, right? And then you just rinse and repeat. You start the process again.
Yeah. So what was the biggest account you ever managed to build? How many followers, and where are you today with that?
Yeah, so right now I have an account that has 100,000 followers on Instagram. So I run actually three Instagrams accounts, and they're all basically me, right? Like it's just my same content. So I have multiple ones. One has 58,000 followers. One has 100,000 followers, and then another one I just started the third one, and that one has like 3,000 followers. So I'm just constantly like building followers and basically getting as much content as I can possibly out there. So my goal is always just to focus on traffic. The more traffic I can get, then the more I'll basically make money.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And do you do any kind of ninja stuff to, like, you will only log into one of these accounts through a proxy connection from the Netherlands and the other one from the US, and so, like, do you get like another PC just so you can, or phone specifically for that? Like, what do you do?
No, not at all. Actually, I have three accounts running from the same phone. Yeah, so I'm able to just switch from account to account, and the Instagram is the only one that I had never seen any problem with it. But if you do it on TikTok or you do it on Facebook, you can really have multiple accounts running from the same phone, because
You
then you
can.
start getting flagged. I don't think so. You start getting flagged and you start getting, low engagement, and then sometimes they suspend another account thinking it's just like a scam account or somebody trying to scam people, right, using your image. So Instagram is the only one. Of course, they have different usernames, right, and different email addresses. But yeah, I run everything basically from one phone.
Wow. Do you get your assistant a phone as well to run them?
Well, yeah, she had a phone already because she's a VA, right? So
No, but
I
like I
just gave
mean,
her the
like, did you
logins,
send
and
her like I'm trying to imagine if I were to implement the system, like I would probably send her like an iPhone in the mail or something, so she can have like a separate device to
mm,
manage the accounts. You know?
yeah, no, actually, she does it all. I gave her the logins, and she just does it all. Basically, she logged in, and so far, nothing's being wrong with it. I haven't gotten flagged. Instagram hasn't told me anything. So I mean, we'll see, right? Everything is a learning experience, right? More hiccups are gonna come in the long run.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one thing that I've always been worried about, different online methods, but especially social media, is how very quickly over time it becomes a game of diminishing returns. Where say today you put up 3 videos and generate 5,000 followers, while a year from now you'll have to put up 30 videos to generate that sort of impact. Like that's something I've been seeing pretty much all over every area of my life. Where you start off and small effort brings in big outcome or huge ROI, and then over time, as the strategy is adapted, as the marketplace changes, as and same thing by the way with like building muscle, right? You started in the gym, it's really exciting, you start seeing results right away, but then over time, you need to put in more effort or a different type of effort in order for the curve to continue to climb, and you're never really generating these giant leaps as you used in the beginning.
Right. So you want to stay ahead of the game a little bit, right? So, for example, when I was doing TikTok, right, everybody was doing TikTok. Nobody really did Instagram when I first started doing my promoting on TikTok. Like nobody really did Instagram, and then I saw the opportunity. I was like, well, nobody's really doing it in this platform, right? Especially in my niche, right? And so I started doing it, and then what happened? It blew up, right? So before you know it, I had so many people tell me, "How are you getting so much traffic?" Right? And I just thought, all right, I just head over to Instagram, right? Learn the platform, start being consistent there as well. So it's not just about TikTok. But then from there, more opportunities came up, like Facebook Reels, right? First it was TikTok, then Instagram came with its own short form content. Then it was YouTube Shorts that came out with the short form content, like less than a minute videos. And then from there it was Facebook Reels. So you always want to stay on top of the head. What's the on top of the game? Like what's the newest thing out there, right? So basically just trying it out. It's like you have to be some kind of an innovator, right? You can't really stay stuck in the same thing, right? Because once you stay comfortable in an area, then you're most likely not gonna grow as much, right? Or maybe you're gonna
Right.
stay consistent, but then how do you get to the next level? Right? So I want to feel uncomfortable sometimes. I want to, that's why I go on podcasts, right? Because I'm not communication skills. It's something that I've been really uncomfortable, and also English is not my first language either, right? So
Neither is
I just
mine.
want to put. See, there you go. So I just want to put add more to my play. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it, man. You are trying to stay ahead of the curve, and it seems like you're thinking outside the box. That's for sure. I don't think anyone in any industry or field ever gets ahead thinking just like everybody else. I mean, my approach at some point I switched it from just trying to fit in to trying to be different. Yeah, because it's really hard to stand out painting lime green if everyone else is painting lime green. Like it's just not going to happen. You have to do something else. I remember there was a time in Facebook ads where everybody would have a Facebook ad image without a border or an outline, and then one guy figured it out and he put in a red outline around the image. All of a sudden, you see like his click-through rate is through the roof, and then all of a sudden it becomes a method, right? All of a sudden they're teaching this. Oh, the secret to Facebook ads is putting that red outline around your image, which of course it wasn't. But everybody picks up on it. Everyone starts putting red outlines over their images, and what do you know? It's not really working. So now the next thing is to put a green one around the image. You always have to be thinking differently. Well, all right, Andre. So we're about to wrap up. Obviously, you got us salivating. You got us excited about organic, and I'm assuming it's something you are teaching and talking about in your content, in your podcast, and in other projects you got going on. So, where can we go and find out more about you? Maybe where can we follow you on social media, your website, any projects you're working on right now?
Yeah, so if you can find me on Facebook. If you just type my name, Andrei Yermejev, you'll be able to find me. And if you want to reach out to me, you can send me a message and we can go from there. But yeah, my newest project is I do have a podcast with one good friend of mine that I met in the online space, the affiliate marketing space. So my podcast is basically about uh, sharing stories, basically sharing stories about business, about marketing. We believe that you have to evolve your life. So everybody goes through an evolution, either if it's with your personal experience, with your business, with your life. And we basically just come in there, interview people, and we just share stories, right? We motivate people and we go from there. So that's my newest project that I'm super excited about. And yeah, I can't wait, to have more people in that show, and hopefully, we get more listeners every week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, care to share the name of the show, the website of the show? How can we find it on Spotify or any other
Yeah,
podcast platforms?
yeah. So we're in all the main podcast platforms. The show is called Evolved Marketing Podcast. So it's by
Okay.
Andrei Yermejev and my partner Brian Brewer. So and you can find it on the website as well, www Evolved Marketing Podcast.
All right, there you go, guys. Go and check it out at evolvedmarketingpodcast.com or look it up on Spotify, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and all the other major platforms. Andrew, thank you so much for giving us this short form video content social media masterclass. I really appreciated you kind of pulling back the covers. You've got a great system going on, man. I really hope you keep succeeding, keep scaling this thing, and really just keep on exploding because this is a tremendous story. I'm sure your grandfather would be proud. Just listening to this, it's really inspiring, and uh, the best of luck to all your projects and to the new podcast. So there you go, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Lisbon Lifestyle. Until next time we chat, have a good one.